All right, guys. So today we are going to use a video for our lesson, and I am going to be here along the way to assist you. You do need your math journal and your pencil because we are going to take some notes as we go. And we are going to be looking at arrays, equations, and number bonds today. Let's begin.
Welcome, Zerner. Today's lesson is a math chat, so make sure you have a pencil, headphones, and your Zern student notes. I have some blueberries for an after-school snack, and I'd like to share them with 3 friends. Here are 4 groups to represent 4 people: my 3 friends and me. Divide these blueberries into 4 equal groups so that they are shared equally.
All right, guys. And so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to divide the blueberries equally into 4 groups. What I want you to pay attention to right now is a strategy that I use to divide my blueberries. Whenever you have a large amount of items and they are not placed in an organized manner, we're going to add one item to each group before we go and start again. So for example, I'm going to put 1 blueberry in my first group, 1 in my second, 1 in my third, and then 1 in my fourth group. And then I'll start back over with my first group again. And the reason we share our blueberries that way is so that we can ensure that we have equal groups. And so I am never going to put a blueberry in, or put 2 blueberries in one group. I am going to share them equally, and I make sure that I share equally by putting 1 blueberry in each group before I circle back.
We made 4 equal groups of blueberries. Let's find out how many blueberries I have in total. I'll begin writing a multiplication number sentence like this. We know there are 4 equal groups of blueberries. What is the size of each group?
All right, guys, in your Nearpod, I would like for you to tell me what the size of each group is. Remember, the size is the total number of blueberries that are in each group. Answer in your Nearpod at this time. Did you say 6? If you did, you're absolutely correct. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blueberries in each group.
There are 6 blueberries in each group. We have 4 groups with 6 blueberries in each group. How many blueberries are there in total?
All right. In your Nearpod, please tell me how many total blueberries there are. Did you say that there are 24? If you did, you're absolutely correct. And we're going to talk about how we discovered that now.
4 groups with 6 blueberries in each group is 24 blueberries in total. These numbers are called factors. The total is the product. We multiply the factors to find the product. Let's use this multiplication equation to draw an array. Create an array that shows 4 rows with 6 blueberries in each row.
All right, guys. So now I'm going to draw a blueberry array for us. And so we were told that there were 4 rows. That means 4 groups going down. So I'm going to draw my 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. We were also told that there are 6 blueberries in each row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could count the second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But because we know that we're creating equal groups, we know that we can just fill out the rest of these lines.
This array shows 4 rows of 6 blueberries. Another way to represent groups is with a number bond. Let's create a number bond to represent our groups of blueberries. The whole circle represents the total number of blueberries. We can draw part circles coming from the total to represent each row in our array. Finish making parts to represent the 4 rows.
And so you should be very familiar with number bonds because we use them in second grade. But typically, when we had a number bond in second and even first grade, there were only 2 circles coming off of our number bond. When we're talking about multiplication, there is a number bond for each row. In this particular problem, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of blueberries. And so I am going to have 4 bubbles coming off of my number bond.
There are 4 rows of blueberries, so I made 4 parts coming from the total in the number bond.
That's right. There are 6 blueberries in each row. That's the size of each group. Record the size of each group inside each part circle.
So, the size of each group is the number of blueberries that I have in each row. And because we're doing multiplication and we have an array, there's going to be the same number in each of my part circles. In your Nearpod, please tell me what number I'm about to write in each of my part circles. Did you say 6? If you did, you're absolutely correct because there are 1, 2, probably shouldn't have used blue on a blueberry, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There are 6 blueberries in each row, and so the number 6 is going to go in each of my part circles.
Each row has 6, so I wrote 6 in each of the 4 part circles.
You got it. Let's look back at the equation. This factor tells us the number of parts in the number bond, 4. Parts are like groups. We can see 4 groups here as the 4 rows in our array, and 4 part circles here in our number bond. This factor tells us the size of each group, 6. We can see the size of each group here in our array, and here inside each part circle. What is 4 groups of 6? Record the total here.
So remember, the total goes in the top of our number bond. We have 4 groups of 6. And so if we were doing repeated addition, which is basically what multiplication is, we will be adding each of these 6s together. So please tell me what number goes in the top of our number bond. Record that in your Nearpod at this time. Well, 6 plus 6 is 12, and 12 plus 6 is 18, and 18 plus 6 is 24. So you should have recorded the number 24 in the top of your number bond.
Four groups of 6 is 24. Now our number bond is complete. It matches our array and our equation. 4 groups of 6 is 24. Let's keep exploring factors in our Zern student notes. When you see this blue bar on screen, it's time to solve in your notes. We're working on Mission 1, Lesson 3. Draw an array that shows 2 groups of 8 circles here.
All right, and so we don't have the Zern note sheet, but we do all have a math journal. Please take out your math journal and follow these directions. Draw an array that shows 2 groups of 8 circles. Again, draw an array that shows 2 groups of 8 circles. Teachers, please pause the video at this time so that the students can draw their array.
I'll draw 2 groups of 8 circles like this. 2 rows with 8 circles in each row. This green bar means it's time to check your work and make sure it's right. Your notes should match the work on screen. If you made a mistake, cross out your mistake and write the correct answer next to it. Make sure you drew 2 rows with 8 circles in each row.
All right, so check your work. Your array should look just like this one. You should have 2 rows and there should be 8 circles in each row.
Now let's look at our equation. The first factor is the number of groups. We can find the number of groups by looking at the number of rows in the array. Write the number of groups in the equation here.
All right, so in your math journal, please write the number of groups. That is our first factor, the number of groups. Remember, the number of groups is the exact same as the number of rows that we have in our array. Write that in your notes.
There are 2 groups, so 2 is the first factor in our equation. The next factor is the size of each group. We can find the size of each group by looking at the number of circles in each row. Write the size of each group in the equation here.
So please recall, the size of each group is the number of circles that we have in each row. So count the number of circles in each row and record it as the second factor.
There are 8 circles in each group, so 8 is the second factor. Now we can solve for the total number of circles. What is 2 groups of 8? Record that here.
All right, it's your turn. How many total circles do we have? We have 2 groups of 8. You could count all of the circles. We could do some skip counting here. Although we should be counting by 8, it may be easier to count by 2s and go straight down. But in your notes, please record the total number of circles that you see.
2 groups of 8 is 16. Our equation matches our array. Check your work.
All right, so please make sure that the notes that you have written in your math journal look just like what you see on the screen.
Now let's draw our number bond. I'll start by drawing a blank circle to represent the total number of items, like this. Your turn.
Okay, so on your notebook, please draw the big bubble of our number bond. The big bubble on our number bond represents the total. Please draw your big bubble now.
Our array shows 2 groups of 8. Draw part circles coming from the total in the number bond. Make one part to represent each row in the array.
So now you're going to draw your part circles. Remember, your part circles is the same as the number of rows that you have. And so how many rows do we have? Draw a part circle for each row.
There are 2 rows in our array. That's the same as 2 groups. So I'll draw 2 parts in our number bond. What is the size of each group? We can write the size of each group inside each part, here and here.
So now you are going to write the size of each group. That is the same as the number of circles in each row. So how many circles are in each row? Write that number in each of our part circles.
There are 8 circles in each row, so the size of each group is 8. I'll write 8 in each part. We drew 2 parts to represent the 2 groups, and wrote 8 inside each part to represent the size of each group. So what is the total? Write that here.
Remember, number bonds are another representation of repeated addition. And so to find the total, you just have to add 8 plus 8. What is 8 plus 8? That number is going to go in the top of your number bond because 8 plus 8 is the same as 2 times 8.
2 groups of 8 is 16. So 16 is our total. Our number bond is complete. The product in our equation matches the total in our number bond. Check your work.
All right, guys, check your work and make sure your work looks exactly like what you see on the screen.
Try this next problem on your own. Create an array that shows 3 rows of 5 graham crackers.
All right, so I am going to create the array on the screen. Please make sure that you pay attention with us. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I told you I always start with my rows, and it says I need 3 rows. So 1, 2, 3. Those are my 3 rows. And then it says that there are 5 graham crackers in each row. So first row, graham cracker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you always count this first graham cracker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they want us to write a multiplication sentence that represents our array. What I want you to do is do this in your Nearpod, but we're going to do it in pieces. So we're going to start with the number of groups. Our first factor is the number of groups. Remember, the number of groups is the same as the number of rows. How many rows does our array have? Write that in your Nearpod now. Our array has 1, 2, 3 rows. So the number that goes in our equation here is a 3. There are 3 groups. The next part is the size of each group. That's the number of graham crackers that we have in each row. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 graham crackers in each row. So the second factor in our equation is 5. Finally, we're going to list the product. Please write the product in your Nearpod. What is the product? Remember, we learned last week that we can find the product by skip counting. Tell me what the product is in your Nearpod now. All right, let's see how you did. If I use skip counting to find my product, I know that at the end of the first row, I have 5 graham crackers. By the end of the second row, I have 10 graham crackers. And by the end of the third row, I would have 15 graham crackers. Because when I skip count by 5s, I say 5, 10, 15. Therefore, I know that my total or my product is 15.
Three groups of 5 makes a total of 15 graham crackers. Now let's represent the array and equation using a number bond.
Okay, so now we're going to represent this using a number bond. Remember, the number of bubbles that comes off of our number bond is represented by the number of rows that we have. Tell me in the Nearpod which of these number bonds we would use. Is it number bond number 1, number bond number 2, or number bond number 3? Make sure you take a long look at it because the pictures will be covered when the question comes up. Which is the correct number bond? Is it 1, 2, or 3? Provide your answer now. Well, we know that the number of parts or the number of bubbles represents the number of rows our array has. And our graham cracker array, we said, has 1, 2, 3 rows. The number bond that has 3 rows is number bond number 1. Finally, we are going to write the size of each group inside of each part circle. In your Nearpod, please tell me what number is going to go inside of each of our part circles. Remember, your part circles represent the number of items in each row. You should have written that there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 graham crackers. So the number that's going to go in each of our part circles is the number 5. Finally, we've got to do the total number of graham crackers. Remember, I told you, number bonds are just a model for repeated addition. So 5 plus 5 plus 5. What number goes in the total portion of our number bond? Answer in the Nearpod now. I hope you said that this number should be 15 because 5 plus 5 is 10 and 10 plus 5 is 15.
Three groups of 5 is 15. We can see that in the array and the equation. Nice work showing multiplication factors in arrays, number bonds, and equations. Keep it up in the Tower of Power.
All right, guys. So we aren't doing a Tower of Power, but you do have an exit ticket and it is posted in your Google Classroom. Please transition to the Google Classroom to complete your exit ticket at this time, and I will see you tomorrow.